Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and today we're going to talk about a new PCC alternative that has been proposed by the FASB. So I'm kind of excited about this. PCC has been working primarily on current agenda items and working with the FASB really on making sure that as they're working on their agenda, they're considering private companies. We haven't seen a lot of proposed differences, and so this is a kind of exciting day. We're going to talk about a proposed change to share option awards. And so this standard is going to this proposal, which is called determining the current price of an underlying share for equity classified share option awards. So a couple of key items here. It is only for equity classified share option awards. They decided not to provide the practical expedient for liability classified awards because those typically have to be updated each period. And on top of that, there's already a practical expedient from fair value to intrinsic value. So we're focusing today on equity classified awards. This has really been something the PCC has been working on for quite some time. They actually voted on this prior to really COVID, and they decided to hold it so that they would be able to wait out the PPP loans and things like that really had firms preoccupied so that they could focus on this. So hopefully now that we've passed our July tax due date, and then hopefully most PPP loans have been applied for, who knows what the next round is going to look like. Obviously, we have to start thinking now about forgiveness and those elements, but hopefully we can take some time. So comments are due October 1st. And really, we know this to be the case. There are concerns about the cost and complexity when determining the current price input when we are trying to do these options. And so the proposal is very ingenious. It's kind of a 2-for-1 special. You're going to be allowed to determine the current price input for equity classified share-based options issued to employees and non-employees. So remember, non-employee share-based payment was moved into 718 using a valuation method performed in accordance with the U.S. Department of Treasury. So this is referred to as Section 409A. And so it provides acceptable valuation methods to comply with the presumption of reasonableness requirement under 409A. So we are basically going to leverage something that they already have to do for tax purposes for GAAP purposes and hopefully simplify a little bit for these private entities. So 409A, the reason why we're able to really go to this is that it has some pretty significant implications if they don't follow the rules, right? There can be tax penalties if they are doing this incorrectly. And so they felt like that would mitigate the risk for those entities if we were able to rely on this. And so 409A allows for the use of one of 3 methods, right? And that's to meet that concept of the presumption of reasonableness. A valuation determined by an independent appraisal within a 12-month preceding date. That is pretty consistent. We think a lot of entities actually use that one. A valuation based on a formula that, if used as part of a non-lapse restriction with respect to the share, would be considered the fair market value of the share. Remember, GAAP uses fair value, tax uses fair market value. And then a valuation made reasonably and in good faith and evidenced by a written report that considers the relevant factors of the illiquid stock as part of a startup corporation as defined in the regulations. So there are very detailed requirements for each of these different methods. So we're just kind of hitting the high notes here, but we already have to meet certain requirements. And so as a theory here, they're saying because this is already so stringent, right, we can then rely on it. Because right now, the issue is that many entities have to actually get a 718 valuation and a 409A. And so that's cost and complexity. Others are trying to do one, but they know that there's risk that it might not be actually acceptable for both. And so when we think about this, the impact on fair value, the current price is an input for that fair value. And so allowing them to leverage that 409A is going to obviously reduce cost and complexity and meet the 718 requirement and the 409A. So this, again, is going to allow for a single valuation to satisfy both requirements, and it's applied on an award-by-award basis. So honestly, the update is really narrow. If you look here, this is the extent of it besides the transition guidance. And so basically, it allows a non-public entity to use a valuation performed in accordance with Treasury 409A to determine the current price of its underlying share for purposes of determining the fair value of share options at grant date or upon a modification that is classified as equity in accordance with 718. So that's the kit and caboodle. It's a very narrow proposal, but it's also probably going to be pretty impactful and hopefully reduce costs for a lot of private companies. So I'm excited to see what happens with the PCC in this. I'm very proud of all the work the PCC does. They have some amazing people. So very happy to see them moving forward with some unique areas of focus. And I think we're going to see some more come out of them. They were a pretty awesome group. So that's a wrap for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.